Hey, we're Chips and Salsa.
In today's video, we're going to talk about all the resources we use to teach our kids life skills.
Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. I'm Ximena.
And I'm DeeDee.
And we're the Chips and Salsa ladies from Chips and Salsa Homeschooling.
If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button and the like button if you like this video. Share it with your friends.
All right, well today we are going to talk about life skills. We've always been very big proponents of teaching our kids life skills since a young age. And as homeschoolers, we have the advantage of being able to teach them extra things that really are going to help them out in life.
Yeah, but I think the thing with life skills is we're constantly learning and growing, and it really does take from when they're little all the way up until we launch them out into the world for them to get some of the stuff really honed in and locked in.
It's so true. Sometimes we think, okay, I've already taught them how to do that, so we can move on. But they constantly need refreshing. And we're learning this because our kids are all in high school now. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, I've taught them how to do every single chore around the house since they were probably 6. They're still not knowing how to do things.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, we even have to revisit like brushing our teeth and those basics. So we're going to just talk about the different life skills that we've tried to focus on, and then some of the resources that we use to help us along the way.
All the books and resources that we are talking about today are going to be in the link below, so be sure to check that out.
All right?
All right. Okay, so first up, chores. Mm-hmm. Why are chores so important? I mean, since they're little, they can start putting things away. So I always suggest that when they're toddlers, you have your toys in buckets and baskets, because then as they take out, they can put right back in. And the more you get them used to, hey, after we play, we clean up. You can do that since they're like 1.
Yes, absolutely. And contributing to the house is a life skill. And I think when you go out into college and you have roommates and you really appreciate living in a clean house, so thinking about your siblings or your roommates and not just being a slob, I think is a good life skill to have.
Yeah, we want to direct you guys to a video that we recorded that specifically talks about chores and how we implement them and kind of our routine. So check that out if you want more details on that.
The next big area of life skills is hygiene. Like I said, I mean, some of these teens need a refresher on how to brush their teeth.
I tell you. And then taking showers every day and how to wash their face and kind of how to establish a face washing routine at night. And all those things take time, and it's a lot to kind of put on them. And I think that when they're teens, at least in my situation, you don't want to be kind of on them and nagging them all the time. And so that's where books can come in handy. So we do have an entire video about talking to them about sex ed and puberty and that kind of thing. And we do recommend some books there. So if you want to check that video, check it out because it was very helpful for us.
That was so helpful. And we did it with our co-op, which really helped to have the other kids and the other moms involved. That was a really good experience. And another book that I found really helpful was Habits by Charlotte Mason. And she really talks about all these habits from when you're little and how to continually, and this is what it takes, continual reminding and consistency on the part of the parent to really ingrain those habits into our kids. Because the natural default setting is not to wash your face and brush your teeth.
Yeah, to just be lazy and go to bed. I mean, I know sometimes I don't want to wash my face and brush my teeth, and I'm in my mid-40s. Another really cool book that we used was called How to Survive everything.
Mm-hmm.
Is it How to Survive Everything? Or?
Something like that. It
Yeah.
was a good book. Yeah, because hygiene is, I mean, it's your self-care, but it's also talking about puberty and first aid. Like
Right.
having some basic first aid and some basic safety skills, like safety around the pool or when you're riding a bike, playing at the playground, crossing the street. So we want to think about and teach our kids all of those things.
Yeah. All right. Well, next up is diet, exercise, cooking, everything that involves like physical health.
Mm-hmm.
This is big for us too because, it's hard to get PE in sometimes when you don't have like a place to go to. And we did have our kids in a PE class. But I think the habit of getting up, doing a workout together has been really good. I know that your family is really good at doing that.
Mm-hmm.
We would fall off the wagon here and there. Now everybody's grown up and we're all, old enough to go to the gym. So we're going to the gym together, which is pretty cool.
When my kids were little, I always tried to have some kind of PE throughout the day. So we would even use our PE time in our breaks in between. Like, okay, we're going to take a break. Everybody do some push-ups and jumping jacks. Or, and a lot of times we would have a PE class maybe once a week. So we would have that. And then I would also set up some circuits where everybody would go around and maybe do jumping jacks at one circuit. And then the next circuit, they would do like hangs or pull-ups. And the next circuit, the next station, they would do sit-ups. So anyway, however you want to implement exercise in your family, make sure you do so that movement is part of their everyday life. And then, of course, diet. And one of the best life skills you can teach your young ones is reading labels.
Yes. And I taught my kids this at a young age, and you have to revisit it and continue. They don't really get a lot when they're small, but just things to look out for, maybe just start with like colors, food coloring and those kinds of things that you can avoid. I actually put together a handout that I had my kids read when they were little, and then again this year in our cooking class, we're teaching a culinary class for our high schoolers as an elective, and it's just been really eye-opening for them, I think, to understand how to read labels, what to look for in ingredients, and also in nutrition. And this is going to be your ally when you say, no, we don't want that candy and we don't want that, piece of junk food because it contains this or that. So,
oh yes, definitely. And then the cooking class has been so great to learn the skills like how to handle your knife, food safety, and those kind of things. And of course, how flavors go together, how to use the stove, how to clean your pots and pans. So,
and now start a fire in the kitchen.
All of those things.
Well, and as far as nutrition goes, we do have another great video about picky eating and nutrition and the resources that we have used in the past. So check that video out because I have taught my kids about eating healthy since they were like 3. And there's just some really great resources out there that you can use.
The next area of life skills that we've made just central in our homes is spiritual life. And throughout the years, it's looked differently. And I know one year when we spent time every morning reading the Bible together as a family, and we could do that because we were homeschooling. And it was just such a great opportunity to discuss the Bible together and read the scriptures out loud and really show our kids, modeling with our kids and doing it with them, reading the Bible every single day. So that was becomes an integral part of your life.
Also, family prayer time is really important, and teaching them to have their own quiet time is important. That's a great thing to teach your children, is how to spend quiet time with the Lord, but also how to pray. You're constantly modeling this, so praying together is really important. We have a really cool schedule that we put together for our family, and it kind of helps us just tackle everything we want to tackle. So on Mondays, we pray for our week, and we kind of just dedicate everything to the Lord and consecrate it. On Tuesdays, we pray for family and friends. On Wednesdays, we pray for the church, big C and little c, the church around the world. So this is when we take the time to really pray for the persecuted church. I get emails from Voice of the Martyrs, and we have like real stories, real people that we're praying for that are on the other side of the world in prison or dying for their faith. And so this has really changed our lives to just, feel united with the church. Thursday, we pray for the world. So anything that's in our hearts, whether it's the government that we're praying for or the earthquake that happened in Turkey. So there's so many different things that we can pray for on Thursdays, and that really fuels our faith. And then Fridays, we pray for our personal community group. We run a community group here at home. And so just praying for everybody by name and individually has really brought a sense of community and love, especially to my kids, towards these people. So we have been doing this for, I don't know, maybe like 3 years or 4, probably more. And it's just been such a blessing.
I love that. Another thing that we do as a family is have worship time together. And my kids and my husband are all musicians. So spending that time in communal worship, not only with our church, so we do it with our church, but learning that you can do it at home too. And that's should be part of our devotional life with the Lord, is to worship in our homes. So spiritual life is way up there for us when it comes to life skills. Yeah,
it's really our foundation. Like I mentioned before, this year with our church, we are reading the New Testament together, and they provided this really beautiful journal for us called Bread. And it's basically a modern take on Lectio Divina, which is an ancient way of reading the Bible and just listening. And so there's some slots on here, and it's a guide, but this is just something that our church provided, but you can use any journal and any Lectio Divina guide. Any, the YouVersion app has a ton of reading plans. And it's just to get your children to read a passage, read a chapter, and then ask God what He has for you that day. As simple as that. And so it's just a time of communion with God that really can't be replaced by anything. So get a journal for your kids and start modeling and teaching them how to do that, because it's priceless. Next life skill we want to talk about are finances. Now, you might think that your kids are too young to teach them about finances, but that could not be further from the truth. I wish I would have taught my kids earlier. I think it would have given them an incentive to save at a young age. And even though I did have savings accounts and piggy banks and things for them, they didn't really imagine what they could do with their money.
Right. Yeah, my kids, I feel like, weren't even interested in money. And I had, at one point, this whole envelope system that I had for them, because they would make a little money on their birthday or on holidays, or do a little odd job for their aunts or grandparents. And they didn't value it, I think.
Right.
Like if I had really given them more, I think, perspective on how blessed it is to have some money and then what they could do with it. So we've tried to, now that they're teenagers, reel it in a little bit and teach them about finances a little bit more. I think it's working.
Yeah, I mean, I've really, since they had a checking account and a savings account, both of my teens now have their own debit cards. My daughter has had to file taxes 3 times already in her life.
Oh yeah, but she has a part-time job.
She has a part-time job. My son had to file taxes, but I'm pretty sure he didn't know what was going on or will remember. I think having just that repetition of you got to put some money into savings, you got to put some money into savings, check your balance, see how much you have. All of that stuff is helping them. And I didn't have that when I was younger. So I think it's going to be good, to see them kind of grow in this area and just focusing on the saving bit, contentment. There's so many things that you can teach with finances.
Oh yeah. Well, and generosity, giving, and savings. So I've been trying to focus on those things, and only 2 of my kids have bank accounts. The other two need to get bank accounts. Got to work that in somewhere. But also balancing. So I have a real
big spender.
I have a real big spender, and then I have the other one, the penny pincher. So he never wants to buy anything, but always wants stuff, right? So dealing with all of that. If you're wanting to teach finances and money management to young kids, we have a really cool resource for you, the Gumball Effect.
Yes, the author of this book, Gregory and Thomas Newman, they reached out to us, and we really love this book. We thought it was just so clear. It rhymes. It's a really cute story. It's so simple to go through with your children. And it talks about the compounding effect of money, planning, investing.
Yeah, I love it because the girl in the book has a lemonade stand. And at one point, she's looking at all her friends playing, right? And she's spending all of summer behind her table. But she wants to keep making money. But how can she do it and still have time? And so if you want to find out the answer to that, check this book out. The link will be in the description box.
Okay, so this book teaches 4 important principles. One is delayed gratification, which is so important.
So important.
Because if you can't visualize it and they're like, no, I just spend it now. Yeah, I'll spend $10 on candy.
The other thing is putting your money to work. Instead of the big spender, having a plan with your money.
And like we already said, the compounding effect of money, so the gumball effect.
You'll learn in the story about how she used her money to make passive income. And isn't that the dream?
It really is. I was impressed because you don't think about teaching your kids about making passive income.
No, but I mean, that is really what you want in the long run. And so to have that kind of mindset when you're young is so cool.
So check it out, the Gumball Effect. The link will be in the description below. We would say show it to your elementary school kids, but also show it to your middle school kids and your high school kids because it's simple, but it's profound. And I think it'll get their wheels turning.
Yeah, I think so. And then last but not least, a really important life skill is setting goals and creating habits for the future. Setting goals has been part of our journey all along, whether it's an athletic goal that they're trying to reach or a reading goal, an academic goal, projects that they want to do. So starting little and then showing them how little steps work up to a big success or big project being completed.
Yeah, I think that the number one thing to teach our kids, and we wish we would have taught them this earlier, is to develop a growth mindset. Because if you teach them this since they're young, then goals and habits are not going to seem insurmountable. They're going to seem, okay, I can do this. It's accessible.
Yeah.
We have a really great episode about developing a growth mindset on our podcast. So check out the link for that because it's too much to talk about in this video. But there is a lot about the growth mindset, and it's basically to just not feel limited by your skills and your talent, but knowing that there's always room to grow. And we use things like the word yet. I'm not good at this yet. So you want to encourage your kids to not beat themselves down when they can't do something because everything is hard before it's easy.
And one of the toughest things about being an adult is consistency. So if we can instill that into our kids when they're young, that you keep going, you keep trying, you keep working hard, and you develop these habits, then they'll be so much further along when they have the responsibilities upon their shoulders.
Yes, and that it takes time.
Yeah.
It's not instant. So one of the first resources we have for you is this, the Growth Mindset Workbook for Teens. Again, the link will be down below, but it's just been a really good workbook that I've had my kids do, and I actually want to go back and do it with them. they just give them a lot of different scenarios and how could you change your thought for this? They'll give them scenarios and then goals and maybe things that they're thinking. It's very introspective and it's been really beneficial.
Yeah, I really love a lot of the prompts in there. Get you thinking in ways you wouldn't think of just naturally.
DeeDee mentioned Charlotte Mason's habit book earlier. Here are some other habit books that people have recommended, and my kids have kind of read it, and I think I'm going to actually read it with them starting like next month. And this is 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens. And I think he has one for younger kids as well.
Oh, okay.
So the link will be below for this. But, this talks about everything from creating habits, how to plan, how to interact with your friends, how to not let friendship situations or relationship situations like bog you down and bring you all the way down. It talks about thinking about your career, about how to stay clean, how to keep your room clean, how to be on time. Just a lot of really great things. It's pretty thick, as you can see. So there's a lot in here that I think is really valuable.
Here's another really cool goal setting book. What do you really want? So again, it's full of like prompts and questions, trying to guide and help the kids kind of see what things they want to reach for, because really they can reach for anything if they try.
Yeah, and that's where the growth mindset really comes in handy, because you don't want them to just be, well, I don't want anything. I don't.
Whatever.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter.
I'm good with the way things are, and so you want them to think higher.
Yeah.
Another one that's very similar to that one is this one that's just catered to homeschoolers. So it might make a little bit more sense for your child. It's very short, and honestly, my kids have not touched this one because they've been working on this one, but I have it on the shelf to work on.
In our society with so much social media and texting, it might be a good idea to pick a book like this one, where it talks about how to have people skills. So Smile and Succeed. This one's for teens by Kurt Manneke.
Yeah, so it's got things like don't be on your phone when you're having a conversation.
Or how to shake hands when you meet somebody.
Yeah, look at people in the eye, stay engaged. Also, how to make a phone call and ask for things.
Oh, and that's a huge one that we've met plenty of young adults that don't like to call on the phone.
Yeah.
Whereas we used to do it all the time when we were young.
Yeah, so it's a skill that actually has to be taught, especially to our kids who they don't even want to turn on their cameras during a Zoom class. So it's really important to give them that confidence for people skills, and that way that's going to help them with their first job, and this is something that, we want to break that false reputation that we have as homeschoolers that we're not socialized. So, this is going to prove to the world, not that we need to prove anything, that, having people skills doesn't have to be so scary.
And that it can be learned. So find the link in the description below.
And then another thing that is important to kind of start thinking about, even when they're young, is about their career. Now, I know that when they're young, you're like, well, I'm not going to be thinking about their career, but you can be thinking about their gifts and talents and their interests and kind of start, exploring different things.
Well, most kids think, oh, I want to be this when I grow up. During elementary school,
That's
right. And some of them stay really focused on that and others don't. But if they can have, I think I had a very narrow mindset about what that could be,
Yeah.
If I could have had my horizons broadened a little bit, I think that would have really helped me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, we just met this amazing lady who is a career coach, and she works a lot with homeschoolers and just with teens in general. And I got this. Now, I have not read this, but I have skimmed through it, and we attended her workshop, and it was really good. Career exploration for K through 12 students. Okay, so this is the parent guide. And the first thing that it says back here, it says, parents, your career advice is outdated. I worked at Blockbuster. That's
right.
gone.
There's no more Blockbuster. You're fired, lady.
So it's definitely outdated. And so this is a guide for parents to kind of exactly what we were talking about. How do you notice? Oh, they really seem to be interested in this. They really seem to are drawn to that. So it's a guide so that we can help them, especially in their older years. And it comes with a workbook. Now you can buy these separately. A workbook for K through 12 students. And I am going to be using this with my senior.
Yeah.
And my freshman. And it has a lot of questions, like what they're good at. And it's cool because, look, they get to choose a salary. You choose the salary.
Yeah. Well, she said a lot of things in the workshop that I really liked. And one of them was the arrow. Like, where does your interests and a career intersect?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I know for me, I had in my mind as a kid, well, if you're good at music or you want to do something music, you have to be like a rock star.
Right.
So I didn't have a broad enough horizon to realize you could have a career in music without being famous. And so I thought I had such a narrow perspective on that I thought, well, I need to get like a real job.
Right.
So I didn't even pursue the music vein. And that could have been something where my interests intersected with a good career, right? Where my skills and my interests intersected, but I didn't know.
Yeah,
so
that's a really great example.
Yeah, so I think this is a really great resource to help our kids see beyond the limited jobs that they know about, right? And there's so much out there that we don't always know.
Well, we hope that all of these book selections and ideas have just inspired you and sparked your own ideas on how you can teach your kids life skills. Remember that as homeschoolers, it's not all about academics.
I would say make a list of the skills that you want your kids to learn this year and then start knocking those out one by one and find some of these resources to help you along the way. You won't regret it.
If you like this video, please hit the like button and share it with your friends.
And don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye.